name is Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. Welcome back to my channel. It's another monthly wrap-up where we go through my Letterboxd and we talk about everything I watched this month, giving you some recommendations, letting you know what worked for me and what you may want to miss. I also have a lot of TV shows this month, so buckle up, it's gonna be a good one. And towards the end of the video, I will have a couple of announcements about what's happening in October, so please, if you're interested, stay tuned for that. But first, I get so many questions about how I watch so much content, and really, my secret weapon is Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. Not only do they encrypt all of your data and protect your identity online, they can unlock geo-blocked content. And this can work across several different platforms, unlocking content that you currently do not have access to. For me, Surfshark is a no-brainer. You pretty much click on what country you want or you type it in, and then you're just there. It's so simple to use, and what I love about Surfshark is not only do they have a 30-day money-back guarantee, they also have a really good human support team, and then, of course, they have unlimited devices. So once you pay for your membership, you can get it on as many devices as you want. Your laptop, your desktop computer, your TV, your phone. If you want to sign up to Surfshark today, use my code SPOOKY for 83% off and 3 months extra for free. There's also a link in the down bar for easy access, so definitely check that out. I do highly recommend them and I pay for them out of pocket myself. I have been for 2 years now. One of the best purchases I ever made and something that I will continue to use. Thank you so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and let's dive in to my Letterboxd. Okay, starting at the start of the month, I watched this one, which is gonna come out, I think, this week actually, the week you're watching this. This is Coming Home in the Dark. I saw a event screening for media in Australia. This is a New Zealand film that is a thriller drama. I really wanted to love it. As I say with most films, I wanted to really like this one because it's more of an independent film. But it just was a very frustrating watch, as some disturbing movies are. It's about a family that go on a little trip to go have a picnic, but when they're there, they're approached by two strangers who terrorize their life. It's very Funny Game-esque, but with a few different aspects thrown in there. And it is a very long and frustrating journey. There's just a couple of things I can't say because it's complete, like, spoiler, but there's just a couple of things that I just really couldn't gel with in this film that made it so hard to watch. Without getting into particular stuff, it's just the attitude from the father, which is needed in the poetic sense of the film, but at the same time, it's just really hard to watch. I didn't love this film, but I've heard other people really like it, and if you do like disturbing cinema, maybe it's worth checking it out. It just may be me. As you can see, some other people are a bit high and low. So yeah, check it out if you're into disturbing film, if you're into funny games. It's a lot slower than Funny Games and a little bit more frustrating, but in a different way. Did that make sense? Next, I watched Superhost, and I was actually really surprised by this one. It's a little bit goofy, but it's still fun. It is on Shudder. It's a horror movie about these two YouTubers who have a travel vlog channel, and where they go to different Airbnbs, but they don't say Airbnb, obviously. But in this one, they go to stay in this place, and the host is, she's just a little wild. She's a little bit of a wild card, and you know that from the start. They give it away a lot in the trailer. They're quite heavy-handed with it, but there's a little bit more to it, different aspects that pack that out. It's not so simple, but it is quite goofy and silly, so I wouldn't take it too seriously. But I thought it was fun. It was fine. I don't regret watching it. I watched Brain Dead, which is also known as Dead Alive. I watched with my patrons. If you didn't know, I do have a Patreon. You can check that out in the down bar below. We did a watch party watching this, and it's always just the most fantastic movie. If you haven't seen this, this is Peter Jackson at his finest. This is one of his first films that is, if you want to talk about wild, this is a wild ride. It's about a recluse kind of guy who lives with his mum, who's trying to like flirt with this woman, and then his mum gets bitten by a rat monkey. Is it called a rat monkey? I don't know. Anyway, and then all hell breaks loose. And it is like the most gory, funny, strange. There's a scene with a baby, not what you think, actually hilarious. The whole thing is just this wacky wonderland. and absolutely fantastic. The practical effects in this film are just phenomenal, and you can't really rate it below a 9. I don't think it's humanly possible. If you have not seen it by now, I'm sure a lot of you have. If you've not seen it, highly recommend it. Check it out. That was not my first watch, of course. I watched Ladies in Black. This is an Australian film. I think it was on Netflix. I just watched it on a Sunday, I think it was. I was doing other things and I was just kind of watching this while I was cleaning. And this, I wouldn't recommend to any of you guys, to be honest. And I've given it a 5, or like a 2.5. It's about these women who work in this retail shop and overcoming their own issues during, I think it's the 50s. Yeah, 1959 in Sydney. Quite a little bit boring. There's not really much to add to that one. I rewatched The Girl in the Train because I couldn't remember how I felt about this. Another one that's just on Netflix at the moment here. And I really like this film. I did give it a 7. I understand it feels a little bit off, and obviously it's based on a book, but I really do find it's quite effective, and I feel like a lot of people who love the book hated the movie, and I can completely understand that. It is about a woman on a train. Sorry. It's about a woman who is dealing with alcohol abuse, and she takes this train every day, and she sees this family, and she, makes up in her head what she believes is happening, and then one day things change, and it goes into her past and her abuse, her substance abuse, and it's quite a powerful story. Obviously, that's why the book was so well received, and I still really like this movie. I know it's not perfect. I watched The Guest. Any guesses why I watched The Guest? I talked about recently in Unpopular Opinions. I'm not a fan of this movie, and I just had to make sure before I put that video out that I still had the same stance. Because, we need to normalize, I hate when people say that, normalize this. We need to, we need to normalize changing your opinion on a film. And I know it's not proper, and a lot of people, I feel like it's quite shamed to change your opinion on something, because we're meant to be somewhat objective when scoring films, and it shouldn't sway too much on your personal taste. And I guess here that shows that I really didn't change, but I do think that I changed my perspective a lot throughout the years, especially the last couple of years of my life. Lots of changes. So I thought maybe I could see this from a different point of view, or, go into it a different way. But no, The Guest for me, I still don't like. A lot of people love this movie, so totally fine. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, because a lot of people love it. It's about a man who shows up to a family's doorstep who claims to have been with their son who was a soldier in the war. He's this mysterious character, and, slowly we finally find out who he really is. Not for me. I watched The Empty Man. I did this as a come watch with me. I did a whole video on it if you would like to check it out. I watched 12 Angry Men. I thought I had seen this before, but I never have seen this. And absolutely riveting stuff. I love this film. And you can understand, sometimes you watch the classics and you're like, yeah, I guess that made sense back then. But this one, I get it. It's such a simplistic idea, that I thought is quite clever. The story is about 12 men who are, the jury on this trial, and they sit in this room and just start spouting their own opinions about what really happened and sway each other back and forth. It's really interesting, but pretty straightforward. If you haven't checked it out, it is worth the watch. I recommend. I mean, I don't need to tell you to watch 12 Angry Men. You either know or you don't. I watched The Life of David Gale. This was really hard to do because if you're looking at the screen and you're seeing who I'm seeing, I find it very alarming to watch anything with him in it, which is so freaking annoying because American Beauty is one of my favorites. But he's just so sick. It's disgusting to look at him now. I bring up him because it's so interesting because of what the actual movie's about. It is about a man who is on death row for committing a crime, and him trying to tell a journalist his story of his innocence. The movie isn't like other ones I've seen, I have to say that. There's some unique aspects to it, and it does have, if you're into crime thriller, it does have some really cool moments, and and some good reveals, but I do think a lot of it is quite obvious. So I don't know. It's an okay movie. I think it's worth watching maybe once, but again, just check out how you approach watching it. I watched Worth, which this one really did tug on my heartstrings, and how can it not? It is about this lawyer who was appointed the special master of 9/11 fund, who he pretty much decides with the victims of 9/11 how much money gets divided among all of these families who are left without, their fathers, their daughters, their husbands. Michael Keaton is the lead in this film, and he is phenomenal. I thought it was really interesting, the perspectives, because I haven't really heard of it from that point of view or that side. But up until the final moment, it does really lean into pulling your heartstrings, which is kind of complicated when it's like a movie that's profiting off that. But yeah, I don't know. I think I still would recommend it if you're into that and you're interested in that perspective from the law side. But otherwise, probably not. I watched Cruella. I wanted to like this film. I've been saying that so much lately. This, like, how cool was she in this? I loved, like, the whole start, the whole, like, way that they kind of, like, get into the idea of her, like, going from good to evil. I think is really interesting, but no one told me it was, like, so long. This movie is so long. Over 2 hours long. I don't know how any kids... I don't even know if this is made for kids because it's pretty brutal. I don't know how anyone would sit in the cinema for this long to watch this movie. It's good, but for me... yeah, it dragged, and I felt like it was going to end about 5 times, and then it finally ended. So I don't mind this film. I thought it was really cool. Like, the art design was really great. I think she did phenomenal, and the story's quite interesting. Loved the ending, but I felt like it was at least half an hour, 40 minutes too long for the story that they should have been telling. Like, it wasn't that complicated to stretch it out for that long. So the next film I watched is Tower Heist. This is complete accidental. Dean and I went away for a weekend, and we were staying in, Dean's my partner, by the way, we were staying in this Airbnb. It had no DVD player, and we ended up watching Tower Heist on TV. So, ads and all. I haven't done that in a long time, watching ads in between. It is about these people who live in this apartment block, and they realize that this guy's kind of conned them, and they're trying to get him back. That's kind of the easy way to say it. It has a good cast. It's got Ben Stiller, Eddie Murphy, Casey Affleck, again, another hard one, Matthew Broderick. Yeah, it was an interesting, funny film. It's meant to be like a comedy, drama. There's always a dog when Ben Stiller is involved, like a dog in like a little small white fluffy dog in some of the scenes. So it had all that. It's to be expected. It was fine for what it was. I watched Detox. This is probably one of the worst films I've ever seen. Oh my god. Who was in this? Yeah, Sylvester Stallone was definitely the standout in this, but it was not his fault. It wasn't his fault. It was just a horrendous story. Absolutely horrendous. It's about this FBI agent who has to go to this... It's not really... It says it's a detox clinic, but it's not really. Like, it's... I don't know what it is, to be honest. They go and, like, put them in this prison, pretty much, and then murders start, and people are killing off each other, and they have to figure out who it is. I can't even explain it to you. The movie was just so bad, made no sense. Had some cool kills, but it was just so weird and disjointed. I couldn't even enjoy what was left of a storyline. It actually made no sense. Would not recommend that one. I watched Malignant. I hope you know how I feel about that. I've got 2 videos on it. Check it out if you haven't. I watched We Need to Do Something. I saw a lot of people loving and hating this film. This is a new horror film. Very strange horror film. It really reminded me of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I don't know if anyone got the same vibes from it. I really got that. It is about a family that get locked in their bathroom together during a hurricane, and then they become stuck there, and they have to get everything off their chest, but there's danger everywhere. It's hard to explain this one because, again, like I'm Thinking of Ending Things, it's a very ambiguous kind of film, so I understand that's probably why people really didn't like it. I enjoyed most of it, but I was not really happy with the end. which I think is fair. Like, it either works for someone or it doesn't. The performances weren't bad, and Sierra McCormick, I'm glad to see her again because she was in the American Horror Story series and they did her dirty, so it was good to see her and playing a good role, so good on you. And Pat Healy, who I really like. So yeah, this one's hard. If you're into ambiguous films, definitely check it out. I don't want to say too much more, but if you need the rest, probably don't check that one out. It will very much annoy you. I watched Nitram. This is an Australian film that is coming out. Yeah, it should be out by the time you're watching this. This one is hard to talk about. One of the most disturbing films I've ever seen. It's based on the lead up to the Port Arthur massacre, which is something that happened in Australia that changed gun laws. And it is an incredible performance. It's Caleb Laundrie Jones, and he plays the perpetrator, but it's on the lead up, so you don't actually see anything, if that makes sense. It's just the lead up to it, and this extraordinary I can't even explain it. The story I thought was going to be like, we need to talk about Kevin, where it's like this kind of moody story about him and his behavior, but it's that, but it's also this insane story about people he knew and different situations he was put in leading up. It's also like this very interesting gray area, as all films should be, talking about the perpetrator and, giving them like a background is always really interesting. But the performance in this is just so outstanding that I really, really enjoyed it. It's hard to say enjoyed it, but I just thought it was quite important, and at least it has a message to it. If you're into dramas, it's more of a drama. It says it's a thriller, but it's more of a drama. If you're into dramas and you're into disturbing films, I would highly recommend checking this one out when it's available near you. The next one I checked out is What We Do in the Shadows. This was a rewatch. This is a New Zealand film, comedy horror at its best, about vampires. It mimics a reality show with vampires all across the board, all different kind of stereotypes. It is such a fun and fantastic film. If you have not seen What We Do in the Shadows, check it out. Of course, there is the American TV remake, reboot, spin-off. Spin-off, I think it is. So yeah, definitely check out this though. You can see all of the people down here. That's some of you guys who have given the, 4 or 5 stars. So yeah, definitely check it out. I would highly, highly recommend that one. Praying in Anger, this is M. Night's first ever film, so I wanted to check this out when I was doing his, I did a ranking on him, and yeah, this was so interesting. It is such an interesting movie. It's about him as an American, like it is him in the film. He goes back to India and he lives with this family, and he just learns the different, gets culture shock, and he learns about the differences in culture, and then he like comes around. It's like, it was quite a predictable story. That some of the scripting is really painful, but it has some really interesting moments. And I don't think everyone says he's a bad actor. I think he's actually quite a good actor. Maybe that's just me. I watched Martyrs Lane. Again, another one that I was hoping for. This one's on Shudder. It is about this little girl who's really mistreated by her mum. That's like the whole thing about this film I didn't like. Like the treatment she gets and no one ever talks about it is horrendous. Anyway, she's living with his family, her family, and she all of a sudden starts having these experiences with this entity, and she has to try and figure out what it is, and put these clues together. It keeps dropping clues, and she's like putting together clues and finding, like doing a treasure hunt almost. I think it's an interesting and unique idea for sure, but the mistreatment was just like something that I couldn't understand, and it really pulled me out of the movie. I don't think I'd recommend it. I watched Come Believe With Me. This is about a couple that take one of their friends away with them to this isolated cabin that they own, and while they're there, just strange things start happening, and they start waking up with cuts on their body. It's a very strange, slow-moving movie that is quite abrupt, and I really wasn't sure what it was trying to say. I have to say that. That's all I have to say about that. There's not really much more to it. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I watched Maniac and Come to Daddy. I watched this for a live stream I did on Vicky, who is Nightmare Maven. I did that on her channel. We do this streaming show called Does This Offend You? And we did those 2 movies. So if you want to hear about our thoughts, I'll leave a link to that down below. I watched The Voyeurs. Sydney Sweeney, amazing, love her. Justice Smith also did amazing. I was watching the start of this and I'm like, where is that guy from? It's the Pokemon. It's Pokemon Detective. This one is an interesting film that I saw coming from the start, and I'm sure a lot of people who watch this will also feel the same. It's on Amazon Prime. It's about a couple that move into this high-rise apartment, and then across the way they see another couple and they become obsessed with their lives, especially Sydney's character, and it becomes like this erotic thing as well, which is a little bit creepy. But it's a very long movie that you think is going to end several times, but you know there's just something else coming. I feel like it's a little bit predictable is what I'm trying to say. But still interesting if you're into, I mean, I love stalker obsession films, so I was always going to watch this whether it was good or not. But yeah, I just was a little bit let down by like the second half of the film. But yeah, if you want to check it out, it is on Amazon. And the last one I watched is MOM, Mothers of Monsters. Originality, 10 out of 10. Execution, not so much. This one is about a mother who is living with her troubled son and believes that he might commit a crime, so she starts recording him. But yeah, I guess that's kind of it. There's, you know, more to the background of the family and why he could be this way, and that needs to be discovered and explored, and they do so in this film. It's a very low budget film. The performances aren't amazing. It's not very polished, but it shows the unique concept. It feels very Found in a way, if you've seen the film Found. They even have like a gas mask moment. So it feels a little bit connected in that aspect, but nothing I would say to run out and watch it all. It's just an interesting, unique film. So that's all of the movies I watched. Now into TV. Of course, I watched Midnight Mass, which I have a review on. Loved that show. Absolutely loved it. If you did not know, if you didn't watch my review, loved it. Thought it was fantastic, and really liked reading your comments and seeing the nuances in your opinions. I'm not going to talk too much about that one because I've already covered it. There are a few that I really want to talk about. One that I was not a fan of, which I saw some of you guys really liked, is Clickbait. I posted about it on Instagram and a couple of you guys said you loved it, but a lot of you said you absolutely hated it too, and I thought it was trash. I could hardly get myself through the show. It is about a man who is found on social, how do I say this? A video of him was found on social media with him holding up signs about you know, alleged things that he had done, and his family need to figure out where he is in time to save him and how this all came to be. And it's meant to be like episode by episode, like unraveling mystery thriller. I felt like I could jump from like the first episode to the last episode and none of the middle really mattered to me. I felt like they were trying to lead you in the wrong direction, and it was just so far-fetched and silly, and I did not like it, but I know a lot of people did like it, so I'd be interested to hear what you think down below. Something I really did like this month, which was really odd for me, is a documentary series, Supervillain: The Making of Tekashi 6ix9ine. This is on Stan if you're in Australia, and I highly, highly recommend it. I think it's 3 parts and it's like an hour each. So it's really a long movie, just a long, long documentary. I had no idea really about who he was, and it starts off being a little bit like sympathizing towards his story and his background, but then it completely changes and kind of just gives you a different perspective of who he is by his come up and how he became famous. It's not really about him himself. It's more about how he became famous and all of the risks he took and he made, and how like reckless it was. It's so interesting from a marketing perspective, if you want to look at, you know, how he was looking at everyone else looking at him. It's just fascinating, like psychology in a way. So I really enjoyed that. If you haven't checked it out and you don't know anything about him, I recommend checking out if you don't know anything about him, because I think it's probably better that way. Just something completely different and something I wouldn't normally watch, so I'm glad I did. Something I was always bound to watch is Lula Rich. Thank you so much to Stevie for recommending this. This is a documentary series. This one is on Amazon Prime. It is about LuLaRoe, which is an MLM company, and it's talking about like the lawsuits that they got into and everything. I don't know if you guys know about MLMs and all that kind of stuff. I get deep into that content, so I really liked this documentary. It has nothing to do with horror or anything, but if you do know anything about LuLaRoe and you didn't know this existed, check it out. Trust me, you'll enjoy this one. And the last TV show I am dying to tell you guys about, because this is the best thing I watched all month, I think. It's Kevin Can Go F Himself. This TV show, I can't even explain how interesting and different it was, and something that I didn't think I would really get into. Someone actually told me the whole premise of the show is based off Kevin Can Wait, which was a sitcom that had like the King of Queens stars, and there was a controversy with them replacing the wife in the show really quickly. It just like from season 1 to season 2, they just do a throwaway line about the other wife and how she's gone now. So this new one is about the idea or the concept of being the wife in a sitcom. So it's very interesting the way they put this together. It's basically a sitcom set, but then every time the wife is alone, it completely changes into this more dramatic, gritty, dark place. And you're going back and forth between this slapstick, canned laughter kind of vibe, atmosphere, into her stone cold reality. And it's pretty interesting to say the least. And I just love where the story went. It ends in a very abrupt way, which I was not a fan of. It is a series, but it has been renewed for season 2, but it's so worth it. I thought it was fantastic and just so different and interesting, and at the start it was a little bit hard to go in and out of the two different kind of vibes, but where the story was going was just so unique. I found it just so interesting, and I highly recommend Kevin Can Go F Himself. That's on Amazon Prime, I believe, as well, in most countries. If you have seen it, please let me know what you think down below. I was completely taken back. I watched it all in one night. I couldn't stop watching it. It was like therapy to me. I was obsessed. Yeah, definitely check it out. Highly recommend. So that's everything I watched this month. So thank you so much for watching. But I do have a couple of announcements before I go. Number one, I am not doing 31 days of horror or 13 days of horror this year. If you've been part of my channel for the last 6 years, you'll know I usually do like a marathon kind of watching during October. There's several different reasons I'm not doing it this year. Number one, I'm taking a break in October just for a week, and it just would have messed up that and messed up with me trying to get ahead, and then I don't have time to actually have a break because I'm working to get ahead. Also, it's just been a hard year. I'm sure everyone knows 2020, 2021, can we get a break? And also I find that people don't watch that content as much, and I'd rather put more time and energy into something that you're gonna watch than quickly try and get out those after each other. And then you guys don't even really get into them anyway, which is totally fine. I'm just trying to work with what I know works for both of us. But to combat that, I did have a little surprise for you. This Sunday, I am going to do a live stream with horrible reviews. I am so excited. We're going to do a pure Q&A, and the point of this is to be very interactive because we're live. It's just going to be a whole conversation with you guys and us. A little while back, we did an Instagram live together, and it was amazing. We were just talking nonstop, and we could have gone for hours. So I really wanted to take that energy and put it on YouTube and involve you guys. So if you'd like to come, here are the details. I'd love to see you there. And of course, I did mention I'm having a small break in October. It's just a week off. I know, I'm crazy, but I'll get to that when we do. I have so much cool content coming up this month, so if you have not subscribed, please do. My next video is going to be what to stream in October, and I tell you what, this is the longest list ever, so I'm very excited. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope to talk to you very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.